Today I'm working on this toboggan, and I'm going to start by removing a few of these cross members. They're just stapled in from the back. So I'm just gently pushing upwards with this staple remover tool. So now we're going to go ahead and remove the staples because we're going to come back and screw these cross members in later. Okay, so we've supported right underneath the staples, and we're just going to knock them right out. Just like taps.
Paint stick would work, or just a scrap of it, because you don't want to just be able to roll it on there. You put the pliers, these are rounded, so you can just roll.
Okay, so we're at the point where we're sanding, and we have a 1/4 sheet orbital sander. We've got a full sheet of sandpaper here. What grit is it, hun?
This is 100.
And we're going to now just fold it into quarters.
Take a piece of wood or start right off. It should break along that line. One more time. Sandpaper on.
I'm going to be dry brushing over the wood. So I've got some thinned out white paint here. I've got a fairly wide brush. I'm just going to dip the tips in. And I'm going to come in and just lightly go back and forth. I still want to be able to see that there's wood there. Try to keep your strokes long and straight. I want it just looking worn and kind of rustic. Don't forget to get the edges, and just keep going over it until it's to your liking. I have my stripes taped, and I'm starting with the first color, which is an indigo blue. And actually, I didn't really have an indigo blue. I had this brighter blue, and what I did was I added a touch of black to it just to deepen it. So I'm just going to roll into the paint and get the roller saturated. I'm just going to come over here and roll it off a bit. And then I'm going to start right in the middle and apply the paint, and then I'll roll out to the edges. Now it's looking pretty light, so I'm going to need several coats. And on the edges, I'm just going to have a really light touch because I don't want to ooze paint underneath the tape. I am using frog tape, however, and it does pretty much guarantee against bleeding. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. It didn't really take much paint. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put plastic over the roller so that I can come back and use it again. It's going to keep the roller wet. So I'm going to pop it right in. And then I need the roller handle, so what I'm going to do is just try to ease that off. Okay, so I have the handle. I'm going to get another clean roller, and then I'll be able to roll my next color. And as for this one, I'm just rolling it up in the bag to keep it wet. And then I'm actually going to also cover the paint in the tray so that I can reuse that. I don't want to press down hard at all around the edges, but I do want to get good coverage, so just move the roller around. Make sure you've got paint everywhere. And if there are areas that you miss, you can always get it on the second and possibly the third coat if you need it. So again, I'm going to get a plastic bag, I'm going to take this roller off, keep it wet so that I can come back and do a second coat of the yellow after it's dry. And if I didn't mention it already, I'm using this 5mm Micro Pro roller. I think the brand is Bennett, and it gives a nice smooth finish. This is going on nice and dry. And with something like this that you're trying to mask off, that you don't want bleed through, it's just best to go in with a dry roller. Don't get too much paint saturated on the roller itself. With colors like yellow and red, they are more transparent than colors like black, so I may need an additional coat of them to get good coverage. Okay, that's good enough for that coat. And again, I'm getting a plastic bag. I'm going to roll this up tight to keep the air out. And then I'll set this aside and get a fresh roller. My last color is going to be this green. I think I'm just going to do this off camera. I don't think you need to see me roll this again. Okay, so I've reattached my blue roller. It's ready to go. It's still wet. Offload it a little bit so it's not soaking. And then we're going to re-roll what we did previously. I should mention that in the middle here where I'm not painting, I've also taped and I've got some poly-coated paper, which is basically just freezer paper, so that if I do happen to come over the edges here, it's not going to soak through and ruin the white that's underneath. To my eye, it's still looking like it's going to need another coat. You can still see the color underneath. So we're going to go back in with the plastic bag, keep it wet. Looks like we're doing 3 coats.
Trying to get the water off of these after they've been washed. So I shake the water out of them. And then we're going to take our compressor. Beautiful, look at that. Dry,
Wow, fluffy.
ready to go again.
Beautiful.
Shoots all the excess water out.
See the difference.
It's like new.
4 light coats on the stripes now, and it's been drying for just a little bit, so it's probably ready to peel back now. Now if you wanted to, you could touch up the white in between the slats here. I actually don't mind it, so I'm probably going to leave it. I've got the poly paper on it, so I can peel that up. Put that aside. As you can see, there's nothing in the middle, nothing leaked through. This is frog tape, and it's my tape of choice because I've never really experienced any bleed through with it, as long as you secure it down and burnish it very well. I like how the dry brush is looking too. You can still see the grain of the wood coming through. When I'm pulling up the tape, I do like to pull away from the line. See that angle here? You're just going to peel it right back. And why is that, hun?
In case it does start lifting the paint at the edge, it's not going to tear a whole strip off your paint. And you can see if it's going to lift, and you can be more careful.
Last piece, looking beautiful.
Beautiful.
I still have wood at the far end there, and I've got some wood at the far end here, just so that you still know that it's a toboggan. I'm ready for Funky Junk's old sign stencils, and I'm using the Sleigh Rides stencil here. I've got some black paint, and today I'm using this stencil brush. I'm just going to get the bristles wet, and that's basically all you need. I'm going to offload it, and I'm going to come in and offload it on the paper towels. I'm just using a very light touch. And also pounce up and down. Look at that, I've hardly even used any of it. Doesn't take much at all. Just make sure you've got good coverage as you go. Around this pointy area, I'm not going to twirl because I don't want to accidentally lift it. But once I'm past that, I'll just come in and finish that off. Let's just lift that and see how that is. If it's not dark enough, I'll just replace the stencil. Back down with the tape. That to me looks good enough. So let's peel this away. Now I'm going to position the lower half of this. It's just barely fitting on, so I'm going to have to just fudge that slightly. Like my husband likes to say, good enough for Canada. Okay, so it looks like I'm good to go. I'm going to come back in and dip in the paint. Get my brush loaded up again. And again, you want it really, really dry. Make sure you're holding your fingers either side of this bridge here so it doesn't lift. And again, just hold down either side of that bridge. What I'm planning on doing it with this sign is making it double-sided so I can have sleigh rides on one side and something else on the other. It's always a noisy neighborhood as soon as I come outside. When my husband is out here, not a sound. Same with wasps. I don't know what it is, but I tend to attract noise and wasps. Although on a day like today, I'm not likely to see any wasps anymore. It's getting a little too cold for that. Okay, last letter. All done. And not a drop of paint left. So that worked out pretty well. I'll let that dry, and I'm going to take that in, and we're going to complete our toboggan. Now we're going to put in some temporary screws so that we can release the clamps.
There we go.
Okay, now that can be released.
Release that. Release this.
And for that one we're going to drill close to the edge.
A little close to the edge because we have a hole here where our rope was going through. Same with on this side. Good. Now release the two screws. Countersink everything a little bit deeper. And this drill is the outer size of the screw itself. Oops. Then we put our board back into place. Don't tighten it all the way down, just part way. find this one. You can see the screw fits through here fairly easily. I'll suck it nice and tight. This should be lined up perfectly, like that. Beautiful. And I guess if you wanted to, you could have glued them back on, but we thought it'd be nice if you ever want to add shelves or make an adjustment. We didn't glue the slats on.
So we've got 2 done. Let's have a look.
2.
Beautiful. Okay. So now we're going to actually drill for a shelf, and this is going to be the last cross member that we're adding. But we're going to drill the shelf first. So here we have one of the cross members clamped to a shelf that we're going to add, and we're going to be countersinking the same, very similar to what we did previously on the bottom of the sleigh. We've got everything marked out, and this time we're actually going to countersink through the top. We were thinking about coming through the bottom to hide it, but we don't have screws that are long enough. It's not going to catch it very much. So
now we're going to release it. In this case, I'm just drilling this little tiny bit here. Yeah. And do we want to attach this on now and then attach the shelf like that to the sleigh? We can just screw it on.
yeah, we'll give it a try. I mean, the worst that can happen is that we have to unscrew it again.
Yeah, yeah. This should be easy. This is stronger than putting the screws up because there's only a little bit of screw holding into the shelf and it wouldn't give you a lot of strength. You can see these. They're now just flush, so if you put something on the shelf, they're not in the way.
Okay, beautiful.
Right, now we got to get our sleigh back. Now we've got our holes here, we've got our holes here. We're opening these up a little bit. The screw. Find that hole there.
It's right there.
Got it? Yep.
Yep.
I got it. Don't tighten them all the way. Start to do your other 3 screws. So they'll line up perfectly. And make sure they're all started. And we'll go back and tighten them all.
Awesome. Now we've got a shelf.
You see how it sucks that board down because we're clamping it with the screw. As we drilled the top hole bigger, it'll suck it right down, tight.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas